going to get started. Okay, thank you all for joining us. We're gonna be prompt today, 4 o'clock. We're really excited that we have added some continuing ed back to our calendars. We kind of took a break from this for a month or two. Life's been crazy and all the things, so we're happy that you took the time today, if you're coming live, watching this live, to join our continuing ed class. We wanted to focus, well actually me, I really wanted to focus on emotions. I was saying earlier, my heart just kind of been pulling me to dive a little deeper into the emotional properties of the oils and really the science, and kind of explore, because there's so much out there and there's a lot of pain and grief and sadness going on. I'm gonna get emotional already, but I think that we have these tools in front of us and we really need to know how to use them and to be reaching for them, because this is a hard time. It really is. We're so divided, you know, of our beliefs, of all the things. We don't need to get into that, but we do have to, you know, come back to that empathy, come back to being true to ourselves, and also taking care of ourselves, because if you're not taking care of yourself, then it's hard to take care of those around you, and it's that ripple effect. So we want to have that positive ripple effect. Another thing that drew me to this class is that about a year and a half ago, my mom passed away, and I always use my oils for emotions, but I didn't realize how profound an effect they could have on me. And so when I think back on that initial shock of a months, I really use my oils, and I don't know what I would have done without them. And so I think that's another kind of push for me, that is calling me to reach out and to also to support all of you and to share my knowledge. So we're gonna jump in today, and warning, you know, I might cry, you never know. It's kind of an emotional weekend. Here we go. Okay, so I have a couple different screens going. I'm gonna present my screen. So today's class is on emotions and essential oils. And obviously you're probably already thinking about some oils that you use, maybe some supplements, which is great background knowledge. So as you're going through this class today, just take in what you already do, and hopefully you can add on to that. So just take a moment first just to reflect on kind of where you are right now, how often you are just aware of being stressed in your life, how frequently your emotions feel difficult to manage. Also, if you are experiencing grief, divorce, trauma, loss, I know quite a few of us are experiencing a lot of those different things, and it can be overwhelming, and it comes out in different forms. For me, when I'm feeling all the things, it comes out with my kids, and I feel bad, but I think we all get there as parents. But we're all dealing with a lot, and on the surface, people don't know that. And so just keep these ideas in your mind, because you do have the tools, and hopefully it can help you figure out how to use those things today. Okay, so for our class today, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of aromatherapy. It's been around for hundreds of years. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the science. We are really lucky too, because we just finished convention, and I still have my virtual access. If you all did the virtual part of convention, you have access till the 30th. And there was an amazing leader, Eliza Bacot, who shared about essential oils and trauma. And so we're gonna watch her video today. And then we're gonna wrap it up by covering how to use the oils for emotions, and then also which ones that you can lean on. And that's also gonna include some supplements. All right, so we're gonna dive first into the history of aromatherapy. So aromatherapy oils have been used in ancient Greece, Rome, China, and India for rituals and religious practices. The term aromatherapy was officially coined in the 20th century as the scientific community began to recognize the emotional benefits of aromatherapy. And there has been substantial research in the 1990s that helped biologists understand how the body responds to aroma. So here is that science. Here is what we have learned over time. And I know for a fact, doTERRA continues to dive into the science behind aromatherapy to really figure out what's happening and also how we can support ourselves. So here's a little graphic. I love images to help understand. So when you think about when you're breathing in your adaptive or your rose or serenity, whatever you turn to, when you breathe that powerful oil in, that aroma heads straight into your olfactory system, which controls our sense of smell. And we've shared this before, but if you are not aware, our sense of smell is 1,000 times stronger than any of your other senses. So your sense of touch, your sense of, my brain is like having a brain fart here right now, your sense of touch, hear, sight, all those things, hearing, sight, sense of smell is 1,000 times stronger, which I think is incredible. So again, you smell that powerful aroma, head straight into your olfactory system, which controls that sense of smell. And that olfactory system is connected to your limbic system. That's the one where you hear, that's your emotional brain. So when it gets to your limbic system or your emotional brain, you have all your emotions, your feelings, and your memories right there. And so right at that point, your brain creates a response to that emotional or to that oil. So it could be you smell something and you remember an experience that reminds you of it. Maybe you smell fresh baked cookies and it reminds you of your childhood, or you smell that smell of rain and it just brings you back to a certain memory. Same thing with our oils. As soon as you smell them, it goes right into there and it's going to give you a sort of response. So of course, we want to train our brain to have a positive response with our oils, and our oils are giving us those properties that benefit us in different ways that either calm us down, make us feel grounded, and then also different ones that uplift us, those different responses. And of course, each of us are really different. No two people are going to have the same response to an oil. The exact same response, because we're so different. And that's why you have Liza, who's drawn to balance, and I love serenity. And I know each of you listening are probably thinking of your favorite emotional oil as well. But it's because we're all so different. We have different memories, we have different experiences, and no people are alike. Two people are going to have that same response. With that, as you are using your oils more and more, I mentioned this earlier, you start to train your brain to associate that emotion and that feeling with that aroma. So for me, and I know a lot of people have heard this story, but you get to hear it again, I absolutely love Serenity. It was brought into my life in 2014 or 15, and as soon as I smelled it, it was just this trigger of calm. And for me, as you can see, I'm kind of an upbeat person, sometimes a little too boop, 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 and I need that calmness. So it gave me that immediate response of calmness, and I was just super drawn to it. And so I have used it religiously. Every night I will diffuse it. I have it on my pillow. I rub it on my pulse points, bottom of my feet before bed. And then I get all cozy, read my book, and fall asleep. And so what I have done the last 6 years, geez, makes me feel old, is I have trained my brain to smell that aroma, have that response, and it's always a calming response because I have been so routine with it. And as you use oils, your response gets stronger and stronger. Sometimes people are like, well, after a while, doesn't that effect wear off, or you need to use more and more? And it's actually the opposite. You just need to use the same amount you've always used, and you're going to have that response. And over time, that response is only going to get stronger the more and more you use it, and the more regular you are, and the more consistent you are with your usage. So keep that in mind as you start to get pulled to one oil or another. Really try to listen to your gut, listen to your heart. It's telling you what your body needs and what your brain needs, and it will lead you to that oil or oils, for me, oils, that will be supporting you. All right. Kind of basic. Why would you use oils to manage mood? Well, they're natural. We know our doTERRA oils are the best quality out there. We were confirmed yet again during our last convention. We have pharmaceutical grade lavender, which is, yay, like jazz hands, outstanding. They are safe. They generate quick responses, and they're a simple, quick way to manage our emotions. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to listen to Eliza Bacot. She's a nurse practitioner and also a doTERRA Diamond. And she shared at our convention, her session is called Finding Emotional Wellbeing After Trauma Strikes. And I super connected with it, and I knew I needed other people to hear it. So I am going to stop my share, and I am going to get my other window open. And I queued it up for us. I'm just hoping everything works well on my tech side of things, because you know, that's always the fun part. Okay, here it is. It's about 14 minutes, and I'm gonna make it as loud as possible. If there's any issues with you listening, please type it in the chat and I'll help you out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Diamond, Eliza Bacot.
You guys, I love you. I'm so glad to be back here with all of you. It feels amazing. How does everybody feel about convention so far? Oh my goodness. So let me tell you a little bit about me. Can we go back one? Sorry. So I'm a nurse practitioner by trade. I worked in the ICU for 16 years. I'm also a certified wellness practitioner and a doTERRA Diamond. Thank you, doTERRA. I quit my part-time job in the ICU 3.5 years ago. Yes, clap for that. Come on, guys. You guys, I'm here today to talk to you about the least likely thing that I would talk to you about if you had talked to me 8 years ago. I would have laughed at you if you had told me that an essential oil could change your emotions, could help you in trauma. And yet here I am today, and it's one of the things I am most passionate about. So today we're going to talk about how to use these tools to help you with emotions and to help people that are in trauma and grief. So to do that, we're going to get a little emotional, and I'm going to tell you my personal story about a time when I had oils and when I didn't have oils. So this is my brother, Steven, my baby brother. In the 9th grade, he sat in his literature class and watched the Twin Towers fall 20 years ago. And he wrote an essay that day, and he said, when I graduate, I'm going to join the United States Marine Corps. I'm going to make sure that no terrorist ever comes to my country again and kills people. And he did just that. 4 years later, he graduated from high school and he joined the United States Marine Corps, and that's him. So he graduated, hoorah. He graduated, and in July of 2006, he left for Iraq. I was in the middle of graduate school to become a nurse practitioner. And 10 weeks after he was there, I got a call that he was missing. So you can see him there. He was the saw gunner in the turret of the Humvee. And one day, on a random day on patrol, his Humvee hit an IED bomb that blew a hole 6 feet deep in the ground and threw my brother into that canal. So for 2 days, Army dive teams looked for his body, and that river, that canal, actually flew out, connected out into the Euphrates River, which then connected out basically to the sea. So we actually didn't know if they would ever find him. But they found him about 10 football fields down from where the blast happened. His Psalm 91 bandana was still on, and his helmet was still on, and it had hooked on a branch. And so they brought him home, and we flew to Dover Air Force Base to the mortuary to make sure that we were there. Sorry. When he hit American soil. That picture that you see there with him is my nephew, David. And I think the hardest part about going to Dover Air Force Base, it's a very strange experience to know someone you love and then watch them being loaded into a van in a box. But the hardest part for me was watching David, my 8-year-old nephew, in that moment, knowing that his best friend, his hero, who he looked up to and loved, was gone from his life. And how do you explain that to an 8-year-old child? What's happened? The horror of the world, the trauma of the world. That to me was what stuck with me that day. And what ensued for me was really emotional devastation. I was in graduate school, so I had to kind of keep going. I was placed on 5 pharmaceutical agents, and you mix that with some alcohol here or there. And I was very numb. I was 26 years old, and I was overtly suicidal at times. But no one knew it because I had to go to school and I had to finish because I had to honor his life in that way, right? And you guys, it was 2006. doTERRA had not been born. I had no tools in my toolbox. So fast forward, that's my son, to 2014, when Julie Davey, my graduate school instructor and my current upline, introduced me to essential oils. And I was really curious, but I was very skeptical because I was steeped in modern medicine, right? So I started studying them, and I started studying the impact on the brain and our emotions. Well, fast forward 3 years later, that little boy, my nephew David, grew up and announced one day that he was going to join the United States Marine Corps. I'm not going to lie, I was terrified. I cried and I said, "No, you're not." And then I also started to realize very quickly when he left for Parris Island that I was going to have to go to his graduation and stand right there where my brother was in the barracks many years before and basically relive all of those emotions. Deep, deep grief. And I was terrified to go back to that place. And when I say that, I was almost paralyzed in trauma again. And my husband said to me, "Eliza, don't you remember you have tools? You know about all these tools you have. Create protocols, put everything you need to go and to be able to enjoy and experience and celebrate him and his journey." And so that was the Instagram post that I posted that day. So breathe for that gripping feeling of grief when I couldn't breathe, right? When my chest was heavy. Past tense, when I would feel that head tension, just overwhelming grief and sadness. And neroli for those low feelings, that deep longing that I had for my brother and missing him in my life. I didn't drink 1 glass of alcohol that weekend. I was fully present. I didn't have to numb myself. And I didn't numb out my feelings. I experienced them, but I was able to be fully present. And it was a completely different experience. So I'm a science nerd. So let's spend just a few minutes on the science of why this happens when we use oils aromatically for the brain. We're going to use oils and our supplements in a three-prong approach when we're helping people with emotions, grief, trauma. When you smell something, you get a direct impact to that olfactory nerve in the back of your nose. And you guess what it stimulates? The limbic system, which is our emotional brain. It regulates so many things: heart rate, respiratory rate, cortisol production, behavior, emotions. So when you guys are smelling an oil, you're having a direct physiologic response to help mitigate all of those things in the body, that stress response. So let's not forget about our emotional wheel, okay? And I'll give you guys just some really quick tips and tricks about the aromatic ways to use them. Low feelings, anxious feelings are typically what we deal with, right? So when we're talking about low feelings, we want to sort of go to the other side of that, right? So we use citrus oils. Lots of citrus, lots of tree oils. So look at Elevation, Citrus Bliss, Cheer, Motivate. When you or people you're helping are struggling with those anxious feelings, right? We need to kind of calm the body's stress response that's happening. And we're going to go to our Peace Blend, our Console, Forgive, Adaptive, Balance, Serenity. And who has opened the new, I'm going to say it wrong, Hygge, right? Hygge. Who's opened that blend? You guys, this is going to be a new blend for grief. I'm telling you right now. As I started to look at the oils and the way that it envelops you and its smell, use this for your people that need to cocoon themselves when they're in grief and in trauma, okay? Now, let's move to internal. And remember, we're using these all together. The aromatic cannot be left out without the internal. Our amazing adaptive capsules, a combination of oils and herbs, right? And I call GABA the pump the brakes neurotransmitter, okay? So that's why GABA is important in there. And if you don't know a lot about Kanna or Sclerotia tortuosum, you guys, it's amazing. It works as an herb to uplift those feelings without giving you any sort of sedative effects, okay? Not making you sleepy, very important. I recommend using 1 to 2 in the morning and the afternoon as people need it. Now, I'm going to move fast here because I'm running out of time, which I would do. So what you're going to use in conjunction with adaptive is copaiba. You guys know it works on the endocannabinoid system. You've heard a lot about that. But remember, this is working on a different pathway than some of the pathways in the adaptive capsule. And do you know how that helps people? Because it works on the body's stress response in 2 different ways. And when that happens, you get something called a synergistic enhanced effect. Okay, so when you're recommending adaptive, also give them the option to add 1 to 2 copaiba soft gels with that. And you can do that in the morning and the afternoon. Okay, here's a quick tip. When people feel anxious, have anxious feelings, when people are in grief, when people are in trauma, when people are in a moment of intensity, this is my favorite tool. And I had no idea all the science was going to go on about lavender. No clue. So it's just perfect. God works that way. So you can recommend for people 2 to 3 drops in a veggie cap. Yes, on top of the adaptive, on top of the copaiba, yes, it's okay. And now we know a lot about pharmacokinetics and half-life, so you can do that every 4 to 6 hours for someone and repeat that and know that it's going to be safe and okay. Lavender Rescue Remedy, if they don't have veggie caps, it's okay. Put 2 to 3 drops in a shot of water. There you go. Okay, so as I close, you guys, I would just like to talk for 2 seconds about, here we are, September 11th, anniversary, 20 years later. You guys, I think about the trauma of that day. I think about all the men and women like my brother that, because of that day, joined the war on terror and have fought and died in the trauma of war and the aftermath of that. And I think about the trauma of the last year and a half and everything that has happened to us. Some people are still on lockdown right now and cannot be here, and they are in trauma. How many of you have felt paralyzed in the last year and a half? Paralyzed in your business, paralyzed in life. Your deck of cards fell out from under you. We have experienced overt trauma in the last year and a half. And the only way to get out of our trauma is to help somebody else. I think about myself as that 26-year-old girl and how her life might have been different if she had had these tools. And so today, I just want to recommit along with you guys, and I've been paralyzed too this year, to share what we have with people, because the world is no less chaotic and broken than it was on September 11th, 2001. In fact, I think it's maybe more chaotic now. And people will always experience divide, grief, loss, trauma, divorce. And if we don't share what we have and what we've been given, who will? So thank you guys so much. As I stand here on this stage with you, I'm recommitting this year to making sure that I help as many people as I can that are struggling with emotion, struggling with grief, struggling with trauma, because we have the tools to help them. Thank you guys.
All right, that was really powerful. It's hard to like jump back in after that. I really hope you connected with her on some level. It was really powerful to listen to that on 9/11 and really thinking about this new situation we are now in and all that trauma that we are dealing with still from all the things happening. So I'm gonna jump back into a couple more things that I wanted to share with everyone today after I find my screen here. But yes, that was one of my favorite talks from our convention this year. She was just really powerful, and she also has the name Eliza, so I really like her. All right, so after watching this, I really just wanted to kind of review some of the key things she said, because of I feel like our heart connected with it, and now it's like, okay, what can I do? What is the action steps I can take from that? And so for me, I like things simple, because when we complicate things, it gets hard and our brain gets overwhelmed. So for me, I kept thinking emotions. We consistently, like she said, we can categorize our feelings kind of two ways, especially when we're having overwhelming emotions. Either they're really low feelings or very anxious feelings. For me, I am more of that anxious feeling kind of person. That's where I get with my heavy stress with work and things. Of course, I have the low too, but for me, that's kind of where I go. And so this chart, I just kind of put in some of the things she said and then some other resources I had looked up. So when you're having those low feelings, you want to turn to oils that are going to uplift you. So any of your citruses that you can use, wild orange comes to mind. We all have wild orange. We have different tree oils, cheer, motivation, elevation is a great one. And then also your mints. Kanani mentioned on our class earlier that every single oil has an emotional property, and it's true. So when you're thinking about what your emotion you're dealing with, kind of think to yourself, am I feeling low? Am I feeling or anxious? Is it more of this nervous, anxious, or worrisome? And then you can go to one of these two places. So all those low feelings, think I need uplifting, I need to perk myself up, or I need to bring in that energy. And then for anxious feelings, turn to your florals, your lavender, your rose, go for your peace, console. She also mentioned forgive, balance, serenity, adaptive. And then our new blend that some of us have on hand is called Huga. She mentioned that was a great one. It's our new grief blend, which I think is fabulous. One of the oils that I always come to, and I know I say Serenity, but the one that I use a lot too that I don't maybe always say is rose. Rose was definitely the oil that helped me through my grief, and I know it's the oil of love. And when you use rose, it just envelops your whole body. For me, I have this response of just feeling like I am being taken care of. And so for you, try to experience all of your oils. You have them on the shelf. Just really start being more conscious. I know Bernice put in the chat earlier, I need to listen to my body. You do. You really take the time, do some deep inhales when you're going through those. And your body really is going to, your brain's going to pull you to what you need. And so you let this be your guide, but also don't let this list either also limit you. There's just so many possibilities, but these are definitely top ones to turn to first. This is doTERRA's Mood Matrix that has been around since I've been around, so for a while. And before we had our wonderful aromatherapy emotions kit, these were the 4 emotional oils that doTERRA really promoted. And they still, to me, are like foundational emotional oils. Even though I love our Motivate, I love our Console, or Forgive, and all those, but these really do, I come back to them more often than others. And it's similar if you think about the low emotion versus the anxious. We've got the fatigue and stress going up and down, no peace to no passion. So we have on the right more invigorating oils, uplifting, and then to the left, kind of more peaceful, calming. And so all 4 of these, Serenity, Balance, Citrus, Bliss, and Elevation, I have turned to for different reasons. And I hope you have all 4 of these in your arsenal that you can also pull out and use in a variety of ways. This is the emotional aromatherapy wheel that is partnered with our emotional oils. And I'm sorry, it's not that clear. I will fix that for the next time. But it's a nice wheel showing the citruses, spices, herbs and grasses, trees, florals, and mints. And on the inside, it has certain emotions as well. So on the top, we have our mints and citruses, our uplifting, and then we have our more grounding with the trees, and then also our florals and spices there. And if you haven't explored these 6 oils yet, you definitely want to. They come in both 5 ml bottles that you can use for diffusing, and they also have a touch version so you can have them ready to use at any point that are pre-diluted with coconut oil. And so a lot of us on the call, I know, use oils regularly. So similar to how you always use oils for emotions, you're going to want to diffuse. I've got my Serenity going today. You can just drop an oil on your palm and deeply inhale. I do that a lot at school. Recently, I've been very good about wearing my diffuser jewelry. So I have a little set of necklaces and I put it right here on my wrist because that also is my pulse point. So then I can smell it throughout the day. And I literally do in meetings. I'm like, I just like have a moment and I just take my inhales. And then topically, for emotions, you want to put those oils right on your heart, right where you need it. Also on your pulse points. So like I was saying, your wrists, crease of your elbow. We always put on the bottom of our feet still. A little balance in the morning is always the best way to start your day. And then I learned from Liza also along the jawline, because then it's like very easily accessible for your for you to just smell that aroma right in because it's so close to your nose. And then the other Liza on our Bakat on the Terra Talk we just watched really reminded us to pair our internal use with our aromatic use. And so the 3 that she recommended is 3 that we probably all have on hand, or maybe 1 or 2, is our adaptive capsules. These are incredible. She reminded us and just said how they are uplifting without giving us that sleepiness. And she recommended taking 1 to 2 in the morning and 1 to 2 in the evening as needed. I'm one that I do probably take it maybe 2 or 3 times a week when I'm having stressful situations. So you can do it regularly as needed, or you can take it here or there. Copaiba soft gels was another one she brought up. You can take those alongside with your adaptive soft gels for the synergistic effect, because she had mentioned they have a different pathway within your brain than the adaptive capsules. So it's great to pair those two up, which I actually never have. So that was a new tip that I learned. Usually I will do adaptive, and I have done adaptive and Serenity capsules, but never those two. And then another tip she gave us was this wonderful lavender rescue remedy. And for those who are newer to oils, they will have lavender. They might not have adaptive yet, or the other Copaiba soft gels, but they are going to have lavender. So great tip, add 2 to 3 drops of lavender in a veggie cap. You can take it every 4 to 6 hours, or if you don't have veggie caps like she said, you can put it in a little shot glass with water and take it that way. A little bit more on adaptive capsules, excuse me. This, we could teach a whole class, I feel like, on just these, but I just pulled a couple of things that I think everyone should know. I know Eliza mentioned it on the talk we just listened to, but we also listened to another woman, Jessica Jacob Travis, who is incredible, also talk about these soft gels or capsules. They do some amazing things within our brain, and it's because doTERRA spent so much time finding the right, first of all, blend of oils for the blend itself, and then researching and finding what was the best way to support people's emotions and anxiety and those low feelings as well. And they came up with the blend, and they came up with these capsules. So these capsules create a feeling of alert serenity, happiness, and they stabilize our mood. I mean, who doesn't want all of those things? They include GABA, which is a neurotransmitter. And what that neurotransmitter does to our brain is it decreases excitement of the neurons. So all those anxious feelings, it reduces that excitement. It reduces mental and physical strain, which then shifts our brain into a lower gear, which makes sense because the Liza on the talk said that GABA, she calls it the pump the brakes neurotransmitter. So same thing, it's slowing us down when we have all those emotions and anxiety and stress. So if you have not tried these capsules, you definitely need to have them on hand. They are incredible. And then here's just the other two. Well, I kind of added one in, but here's Copaiba, which actually is pronounced Copaiba. And this is a great one to use for emotions. It is, we call it our version of CBD because it is supporting the endocannabinoid system, and it supports those same brain receptors that CBD is meant to. However, our consistency and the amount that you're getting is much more equitable, and it is something that you can ensure is pure and potent, which is unclear with CBD sometimes. Again, that could be a whole nother class. And then I just threw in one more internal use, the Serenity soft gels, because these are great for sleep, but they also can help to calm the nervous system, which is pretty much what you're doing when you're needing to calm down for sleep. And so a lot of people that I know will pair adaptive with Serenity. So you can go ahead and, like I said before, we just woke up. Everyone's body is different, so you can figure out which works best for you. All right, and then of course I couldn't not talk about our just foundation of health, because these vitamins, and I know some of us here are on it, some aren't, but emotionally you're going to be unstable if your body is out of whack. And so you want to make sure that you have a strong foundation. It's number one, when you think about what we're taking into our body, food is medicine, and that feeds your mind, and your mind is what controls your emotions. So hands down, anyone who is on the class, trying to support their emotion, manage those emotions, first and foremost, make sure you're feeding your mind, because you want to make sure you address your whole body, not just your mind, but you also need to have overall wellness. So if you are not on the Lifelong Vitality, I highly recommend it. It has emotionally supported my hormones, which then has decreased my headaches, which then has decreased my stress. So it's kind of that domino effect that it all comes back to that health. And I know Kanan mentioned earlier what's happening in your gut. So there's so many things within our body. We are a whole person. We're not just these parts that we need to fix this and fix that. We need to really look at the whole system. So hands down, everyone should be on these vitamins. If you are not, talk to me, talk to Liza a little bit more about them, and we can help you get started. All right. Okay, so I wanted to, before we wrapped up the class, kind of hear from some of you. And so, and I have some adaptive capsules that I would love to gift forward. So think about what is your maybe number one emotional oil or supplement that you turn to help support you with your emotions right now. I would love it if we could hear a few ideas from everyone, because everyone is, again, so different. And the third person that shares will win some sample of adaptive soft gels, because I want everyone to have them in their life. Okay, I'll just wait a moment. Go ahead, share your favorite. And if you want to share out loud, I would love that as well. Ray says, adaptive soft gels for stress and anxiety, and Neroli for hope. Ooh, I love that. Bernice says, I like the spearmint. You like invigorating, Bernice, huh? And our third person, da-da-da. I'm gonna pick on Beth, come on. And Liza says, I love beautiful. Oh, that one is a great one. Sometimes I hoard that a little bit, so. Love, love my beautiful. All right, well, if anyone is wanting to share their favorite emotional oil, we would love to hear it. We got enough in the chat, I guess. Beth, I just noticed Beth shared on the chat earlier about her, I give one of her children adaptive and Copaiba daily, and I noticed a great change. Oh, that's so awesome. And Motivate too is incredible. Awesome. All right, well, before we wrap everything up, I just wanted to share this one quote that Eliza had said on our call. Just the only way to get out of our trauma is to help someone else. So I hope that today I have helped you in some way, learn something new about emotions, and I hope that you can pass this information on to help someone else. Thank you so much for joining us, and I love you all. Have a great Sunday. Go love on your families. Go pour some oils on you.